Hi everybody, so today I've got the new Haus bronzer which I'm testing out for you and seeing if this actually works with my skin tone because I struggle so much with my cool tone skin. I've got the lightest shade in this new bronzer, so I'm really looking forward to showing this one to you. I've also picked up 3 shades in the new Armani Luminous Silk Shine blush version. So I absolutely adored the matte version of this when it came out last year. It was my favourite formula in all of the liquid blushes, so I was really excited to see the shine version, and I've actually filmed a side-by-side comparison of the shine versus the matte in the peach, which I'll be showing you in this video. And today I'm going to try on the pink so we can see the pink matte versus shine, so you can see which side you prefer. So I can't wait to show you these. I'm really excited about this new formula. As I said, it was my favourite, so I can't wait to get started. And if you're new here, hi, my name's Hannah, I'm 48, I'm not a professional, I'm just somebody who really loves makeup and beauty, and here on my channel I show you the latest releases, my favourite looks, and give you any beauty news you might be interested in. Please do subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. It would be ever so helpful to me. I have lots of people who are watching but not subscribing, so if you could, that would be ever so helpful. If you're already subscribed, welcome back. I really appreciate you being here. And my skin tone for matching up with everything we're looking at today, I've got cool tone skin, which is a tiny bit neutral but predominantly cool, fair to light, and I've also got blue eyes. Anyway, that's enough about me. Let's get straight into this video. So I've currently got no bronzer, no blush, nothing, which is why my eyes and lips obviously I've done, but everything else is blank, and that's why I look extremely pale. So it's going to be very interesting when I look this pale to see if this bronzer works on me or whether it'll look yellow, and you'll see why, because you'll see later in the review that I actually tried this with a different look. So it'll be very interesting to see how the bronzer sits on me with the pink look, which I'll show you after the first look, which was actually the peach look. So let's look at these new products from Armani. So the packaging is different. We have more of a glossy finish, whereas the matte version had that more frosted finish. So that's how you tell them apart. And the description on these give a just pinched flush or rich colour radiance. This has watercolour transformative technology inspired by the brand's lipstick formulation, and the blush combines lightweight blendability with light reflecting pigment. It has an ultra thin film that builds seamlessly without moving your makeup, offering up to 12 hours of wear, and the liquid blush can be applied to the cheeks and to the lips for a pearlescent kiss of colour. I might put a tiny bit on top of my lips at the end if I remember to do that. I should try that really. Choose from 4 pearl infused shades for multi-dimensional luminosity. So I've picked up 3 of these, but I have to say the one I'm not trying on today, I'll show you first. I think this is a bit of a regret because I don't think this shade is going to be very good for my skin tone. So this one is the shade 42S. So I'll just show you what this looks like, and I think I'll be trying this one more in the autumn because I think it might be a shade that will work better for me in the sort of autumn time. I don't think this is a summery shade for me. It's also quite a rich deep shade, but I will show you how this looks when it shears out because it's nowhere near as pigmented as the matte. So look at that sheared out. Very different. So it could work for me, but I just don't think it works at this time of year. And I also don't have a matte comparison. I think when I got it, I was expecting it to be a little bit more similar, weirdly, to the mauve colour from the matte. I don't know what I was thinking there. Maybe I just ordered the wrong one. But anyway, yes, I meant to pick up 62S, which is magnetic mauve, and then I could have done a comparison for you with these two. But I'll pop the 4 colours up that are available in the Shine formula, and you'll see that I've actually picked up the deepest sort of peach. So that was a mistake on my part, and that's why it looks so rich on me. So this one is actually the shade Sunlit Sienna, the one you've just seen now. So that is, like I said, number 42S. So like I might try that one in the autumn or gift it to someone because I don't think it works for me. So what I will do is I will order the mauve in the Shine version. So I'll do a shorts reel, so look out for that and you can see the comparison between the two, but it's not included in this video, unfortunately, due to my error. But I do have the peach and the hot pink to show you. I paid £29.60 for these, but this is 20% off. They're normally £37 and they are still this price now. as I'm putting this video out today anyway. So I'm filming on, today's a Saturday, this will go out to you on the Sunday, so hopefully it'll still be available. But obviously if you're watching weeks later, the prices may have gone back up. But this is specifically on the Look Fantastic website in the UK, so I have linked that below. I believe these were also available at Nordstrom in the US, but I think they've sold out, so I haven't linked them. So apologies if you can't get them at the moment, but I'm sure they'll be restocked everywhere soon. So the colours that I do have, I've got the Cosmic Pink, which I'm sure was called Hot Pink in the matte. But anyway, Cosmic Pink and possibly Hot Pink, but basically the numbers are exactly the same. 53 is the matte and 53S is the shine. So you can easily spot which one's which, like I said, between the packaging and the S on the end of the name. And then I picked up these two. So the peachy shade is number 50.5. So we have 50.5S and 50.5 from last year, and the title of this one is Starlit Peach, the shine. So even though you can only really see it on the bottle with the numbers, you can only ever get the names of these if you go on specific websites. It's really difficult with Armani numbers. I don't know why they do that. But before I do anything else anyway, let me show you the clip I filmed yesterday where I'm wearing a full peach face look, and you can see me trying the two on side by side. So here is that clip for you. So today I've got the new Armani Luminous Silk Liquid Blush in the shade 50.5 in the new shine finish, but I've also got the one that launched last year in the matte finish. So let's compare both of them side by side to see what the difference is. And here they are swatched side by side. You can see the clear difference here. This is the matte finish and this is the new shine. So let's start with the matte version, and I'll just put 2 dots here on my cheek. This is going on top of powder, by the way. I'm using my Mario F4 brush, the flat end, the small end rather, and patting this in. This has always been a formula that works out very nicely on top of powder and also on top of creams. It's a really versatile liquid blush that I love. That is beautiful, isn't it? And now I'm going to try the shine. So going from the swatch on my hand, I'm expecting this to be a lot less pigmented, and I might need to build up a bit more. So let's start off with 2 dots like we did this side so we can just see the difference. I'm going to use the same brush. And definitely straight away you see less pigment. You do see that shine. Can you see the shine? A little bit of glitter on my cheeks. That's not coming from the blush, that's coming from my eyeshadow, so please do ignore that. I'm going in with 2 more dots of the shine formula. Have to say, I think I still prefer the original, just from first impression before I finish this, but let's see when I've got this on. I'm definitely getting enough pigment now from the amount I've put on, so that's 4 dots. Take it just a little bit up on the forehead, connect with the eye. Yeah, that's definitely enough. So it's using double the amount to achieve the same pigment as this side. And you can see it's slightly warmer, and this one's almost slightly cooler. So there we have the matte finish and the shine finish. I don't think it lifted my powder, but I'm not 100% certain. So I feel like I can ever so slightly see freckles on my face, which I can't on so much on that side, but I don't know if I'm nitpicking. I don't know if it's slightly lifted the powder from underneath, something the matte just never does. Just the way it applied and the way it finishes, the way it looks on my skin tone, and I've got mature, nearly 50-year-old skin, I think the matte is still better, and I still think it's got a nice sort of glow to it even though it's a matte. What do you think? Which is your favourite? The original matte or the new silk? So you can see in that clip that I was wearing peach makeup, but I was also putting it on top of powder. So today what I've done is I haven't powdered my cheeks at all. In fact, they're quite tacky at the moment. So I've just got my foundation and concealer in this area here. So I'm going to go straight in now with the pinks, and we can see the difference of the two side by side. And I'll start with the matte version on this side, and I'll do the 2 dots like I did yesterday with the peach. I will actually use the Makeup by Mario F4 brush again because, well, it's a perfect brush for this. This is actually my favourite shade out of all of the ones I bought last year when they launched. And just like when it goes on top of powder, it just blends in instantly, very, very quickly, very, very easily. It's as good on top of foundation as it is on top of powder, but I think you see a lot less pigment when it's going on top of foundation, which is always the case really. When it's on top of powder, it always pops a bit more. So I can afford to go in with a bit more of this one. In fact, I'm going to go in with another 2, I think. Definitely a cool tone favourite sort of shade, this one. So very, very different to yesterday's look with the peachy makeup. So taking it into the eye as always, and just slightly up here on the forehead. It just blends out so beautifully, doesn't it? I think I'll leave it there because that is 4. You can see that it's quite a sheer one really, and it's not very pigmented at all. Let's leave it there. Maybe I'll add more at the end. Now let's go in with the shine version, and again I'll start off like yesterday with 2 dots first, but going by yesterday I would expect even less pigment. So let's see. I don't know about less. Maybe similar in this with this shade actually. Definitely with the peach on top of powder, I needed double the amount of the peach to reach the same level of pigment. Do you know what, with this one, going on top of foundation, not on top of powder, I think I prefer the shine one. That's interesting, because yesterday I definitely preferred the matte. But maybe that was because I was putting it on top of powder. So I'm going in with 3 more of the shine. Oh, that is so lovely. I love this one actually. What I will do is I'll powder down and I'll put it on top so I can see how the pinks look on top of powder as well. So I wanted to start with no powders on my face whatsoever so you could see it as it is. And also because I preferred the peach, the matte version yesterday on top of powder, I thought it'd be very interesting to do this because as I'm seeing, I think I prefer the shine now. So maybe it had something to do with putting it on top of powder, who knows? Or maybe it's just because this is my favourite shade. But I do think now, looking at the 2 sides, that I do have a bit more pigment on this side, and I've put 5 stripes there. So I'm going to go with another 2 on the higher point of my cheek. So it is looking like the pigment is less once it's blended out with the shine. It's definitely more sheer, but it's very, very lightweight and it just blends out so easily. But I never felt really that this matte sits in a very flat way. I've always felt it's given quite a glow anyway because it's a liquid at the end of the day. So you can definitely see a bit more shine, can't you, with the shine formula? But I think I get quite a shine really with this one. I am wearing quite glowy makeup underneath. I've got a glowy primer and quite a glowy foundation. I just don't really see there's an awful lot of difference. I just ever so slightly think I prefer the shine. What do you think? The shine? Or the original? I call it matte, but it doesn't ever look like a matte, I don't think. They just look so similar. But let's try them with powder at the end. So if I stop now and we move into the bronzer review, when I'm fully powdered, we'll then go back and do this again on top of powder so we can see the difference. But before I do that, I'll just play you a little check-in video I made last night when I had the peach on both sides, so you can see the longevity of these, which is actually very promising. So here's that clip. I'm just about to take my makeup off before jumping in the bath, and just wanted to show you how the blush is looking after about 12 hours wear. It has not moved, even though I have used the Fenty setting spray, which locks everything in. So credit to the Fenty spray as well as the blush, but it really hasn't moved at all, both sides. So I'll take a little bit of powder on my Rare Beauty brush, the 105. I'm using the YSL loose powder in blue. I'm taking this now over both of the blush sides so you can see how this looks once it's been powdered, which is how I'd always do this, and then maybe go in for a little bit on top. So I actually like to double layer like this with liquids, or now just go in with a powder blush. That would be the other option. So this is my sort of underpainting of the blush, And you can see I've got a nice soft flush of pink, which isn't too much. What I desperately need now is some bronzer. I need something other than pink on my face. I'm looking way too pink. So let's try this Haus Labs, if I can find where I've put it on this complete mess in front of me. Sitting here underneath my phone. Okay, so before I actually put the bronzer on though, I'm going to give you my full review of the bronzer, which I did yesterday with the peachy look. So here is my full review of the bronzer. So here is the new Haus Labs bronzer. I'm looking extremely pale right now with absolutely nothing on my face, obviously apart from eyes and lips. I've got my foundation on, but I've got no contour, no bronze, so I'm really, really pale, desperately in need of a bit of contour and bronze, so I'm going to do both with this one. So this is the packaging for this. This is the new Haus Labs Power Sculpt Velvet Bronzer. This comes in 8 different shades, which I'll pop on the screen for you now. This is described as a velvety formula. It is quite powdery when you actually swatch it. It's a talc-free bronzer with fermented arnica and squalane that seamlessly blends and blurs whilst adding natural warmth with a 12-hour wear. Anyway, that's what it promises. So I've got the lightest shade in this, which is just called Soleil Sand Fair. So I'm quite pleased with the shade on this. I think it's a really good shade for me, and it looks like it's cool tone enough as well to work. So I've got the 3 bronzers that I think are the best cool tone matches for me. So you can see them side by side. And if you look at the YSL in the shade 01, the lightest of the YSL bronzers, and you see the 2 of these together, it does look quite a bit darker than the YSL. So I'll do a swatch now of the 2. And when you swatch the Haus Labs, you pick up an awful lot of product. But I am finding when I apply it, this isn't an issue. But when you swatch it, it feels like you're picking up so much. It's almost creamy. And I worried that there'd be too much. So that's how it's looking on the back of my hand. You can see quite a bit of pigment there. So now I'll swatch the YSL, which I would expect to be lighter because it's one of the lightest bronzers in my entire collection, if not the lightest. So here is the comparison. It does look a lot lighter, doesn't it? Shade wise, cool wise, fairly similar, but a lot less pigment. So with the YSL, in all fairness, I do need to really build that one up to even see it. So if I look now at my favorite, well, probably my favorite actually, the What's Up Beauty in the what shade is this? This is shade 01 Light. If you see these 2 together side by side, you can see there's probably a bit of a match up here. Not in formula again. We've got the smooth marbled surface with the What's Up, an Italian formula. It's very dry, not at all creamy. Very, very different. That's how it is on the back of my finger, on my finger rather there. So if I just do a swatch of that. This one's definitely got more pigment than YSL, but not quite as much depth as the Haus Labs. Not a massive difference. And cool tone wise, I think that the Haus Labs is looking so good for me. And then the next one, which I've also been using probably the most lately, but I like this probably as much actually as the What's Up Beauty, is this one from Fenty. This is the Indecent from Fenty, number 01, the lightest in the Sunstroke Bronzer range. So it definitely looks lighter again than Haus Labs, but wait till you see Haus Labs on. I think it's a little bit deceptive in the pan. Very silky smooth formula from Fenty, but you're not getting that sort of chunky powder. It's not as creamy. But if I swatch these 2 together, they do look very similar. So here is the Fenty here, and this here is the Haus Labs. So there's Haus Labs, there's Fenty, there's YSL, there's What's Up Beauty. Definitely within the right sort of shade ranges. So if you like the shades that I've just shown you, the brands I've just shown you in those shades. I do also love the Lancome, but last year I bought the Lancome in shade 02, which was very good for me at the time because I was wearing a lot of tan, but I'm finding it too deep for me. So I've actually just placed an order for the new Lancome eyeshadow, and I've included in that order the bronzer in the lightest shade. So I'm going to start adding that into my comparison mixes because I think that could be another one added to this little collection I've got growing of the perfect cool tone bronzers for my skin tone. So I say perfect, I still feel like I'm on the hunt for the truly perfect, but I think these are pretty good, to be fair. I'm quite happy with them. So I'm going to start by using my Nikki LaRose N16 brush. and taking a tiny bit of this and using it to contour. So I desperately need a bit of contour. And straight away that's going on quite nicely and not too much. I did take a little bit on the brush, but that's just about the right amount of contour for me. And it's also the right sort of shade. I'm tapping off quite carefully with this because of how much kickback there seems to be when I swatch in the pan. But as I said, I've tried this out twice now off camera, and I'm not actually seeing that translate to the cheek when I use a big fluffy brush, which I will be showing you now at the end. So that's worked out very nicely, I think. It's a very light contour. I can take it just slightly below the lip. I've already got my lipstick on, so I don't want to go too mad. It's a little touch there. And I think I'll use it with my Mario F4 brush on the small end, just to do sort of contour initially, so you can see the sort of shade you get if you're just using it to contour rather than fully bronze the face. So that's the shade. So it's not a contour shade, but then it is a bronzer. I'm just showing you if you wanted to use it for that purpose. So it's not my sort of perfect contour shade, but it is a nice shade. I can take it under here. I mean, it's certainly a shade I can get away with for an all-over quick bronze and contour, so sort of bronzer, which is obviously very handy when you're looking for that quick look and you want to skip the contour step, or you want to just skip having that number of product. That using double products, it's certainly easier, isn't it? And I could use the same brush to just take it around the surface. So the surface, take it around the outer edges of my forehead, just tapping a little bit. You can see that already I'm not getting this sort of patchiness that I feared, because I thought every time I put a brush, especially a dense brush like this, I thought I'd pick up so much of the bronzer and it would be quite patchy, but it isn't. So don't be alarmed by the way that this looks from swatching or in the pan, because it really is so powdery looking. So now I'm going to take my fluffy Rapha brush. This is the number 22, which I always use for sort of general bronzing. And the way I use this is to just gently tap in and then just start applying. So doing it like this with a fluffy brush, for me, especially when this looks more pigmented than the other ones I've shown you, it's the safest way for me to apply this without picking up too much product. You can see there that that's gone on very, very smoothly. Just a tiny dusting really of bronzer. So I'm going to stick with my just pat in. And even though I can see quite a bit of powder in the pan, it's picking up and distributing it very, very evenly and very, very naturally, I think. It's definitely not landing in a patchy way. I haven't got too much pigment in one spot. I'm not having to really work it in. This is giving me quite a matte finish. It's not particularly glowy. I think this is very mature skin friendly. And I think that this will definitely suit people with my skin tone, people looking for a relatively cool tone bronzer. It's not the most cool tone out of all of the ones I've shown you. I think probably the What's Up Beauty is the most cool tone out of all of them. That's probably the most perfect shade for me. But this formula is stunning and so quick and easy. I really do like it. So I've just got a light dusting now of bronzer. And I think that's almost enough for me really. But I do have quite a sort of rich eye look today, so I don't know whether this would go up a little bit, but I did have some tan on, but I've let it go because I don't know, I just keep deciding I don't want tan every time I go near tan these days. So I'm back to my pale self pretty much. So I don't want to go too mad because I want it to look fairly natural, just take it slightly into my eye look. And I think that's about enough. You can see that that doesn't look too yellow. Certainly if you saw me reviewing the new Givenchy blush, that blush bronzer, that one looked much more yellow. Like I could do a swatch comparison now actually to show you what I mean. I've got it sitting here. That is if I use all 4 shades of it, because it is different if you separate them. So here is the new one from Givenchy. If you see these together. You can see here though that with the Givenchy we do have a much more cool tone option if you're just going for these two, which by the way is how I've been using this bronzer. I've just been sweeping across these two and skipping these two out completely. So it does work for me in that way. But I'll do a swatch if I put all of them together. Do you know what's quite surprising? Is the Haus Labs looks more warm than the Givenchy right now. But it doesn't translate like that onto the skin for me, which is really odd. This is the Givenchy and this is the Haus Labs. Why is that? maybe it's just the way it applies, that it applies quite lightly. So I suppose they must be quite similar in the fact that they are a bit warm, which is why the What's Up Beauty is the better one for me. But at the same time, I much prefer this one. This one, the Haus Labs, reminds me more of when I just use these two. I've just swatched across all three, so it's all become a bit blurred. But when I just use these two shades here, that's when I get the perfect sort of tone. You can see there's a cool tone bronze shade. But this one just doesn't look as yellow on me at all. Maybe I'm getting less product. Maybe it's just applying less, which certainly seemed to happen because of the way it built up. But at the same time, I like the shade. But I am today wearing it with corals and warm shades. Tomorrow, which will be part of this video and within this video, I'm going to be wearing pinks. So when I wear pinks, will it be a bit different and will it look a bit more yellow on me alongside pinks? Maybe it's complementing me more with the corals, which is something we'll definitely look at in this video. But anyway, that's a good look at what the Haus Labs bronzer looks like on me. So what do you think? Right, so now I'm back with my pinky look to complete my look, which is powdered down, so I can try this Haus Labs bronzer on top. I'm just going to take a little bit, as I did in my original review, with the Refa brush, the 22. And the question really was, is this going to look a bit too yellow and warm? Now I've really got such a light look on. I'm wearing pinks in my clothes and in my makeup. And looking at that on the forehead, it's still not giving me that sort of yellow effect that I instantly noticed with the Givenchy. I do love the way that this sits, you know, it really is that sort of soft cream to powder formula that works beautifully. It really is a gorgeous formula, this, it really, really is. I will take a little bit on the cheeks, because you have seen how the pink looks without it, and I really feel I need to warm my face up a little bit. Just taking it pretty much across the cheeks and nose, just to really give me that sweep of warmth. And it shows it's a very safe bronzer, because some bronzers, if you do that and you've got too much on the brush, or if it just collects too much because the formula is clumpy, it can look so awful, or you could get into so much trouble, can't you? But that's really not happening here. Taking a little bit down the neck even. I really, really like this bronzer. Really like it. It's not as cool tone as it should be for me, that's definite, and I think you can see that when I've got the pink on. You can see up here looks a little bit more yellow than it would if I was using a true cool tone. So it is described as having golden undertones, and it certainly does, but it's the only shade that would work for me in the range. And there are all 8 shades, and it's the only one I can really try that would work for me. And I do think it works for me, but I'm not convinced it's the best bronzer for me with this type of makeup. It's not terrible, but I think it's much better when I'm wearing neutrals, or if I'm wearing peachy shades, gold shades. I think that's when I would go for this one. In other words, it's more likely to fit with my sort of summery type of looks. But it's not terrible, and I did need a bit of warmth. I did need a little bit of a sort of golden finish because I was looking so pasty faced with all this pink. But as you can see, I can just pop into it like this quite liberally. I don't ever sweep around and collect lots of it, but I can do that, and it really is very, very, very simple and easy. Blends out beautifully. Gorgeous formula. So I would recommend getting this if you've got my skin tone, but not as one that would work for you all year round necessarily, and not necessarily going to work with every single look. But definitely love the formula. Right, so let's finish up now by putting the pinks back on my cheeks on top of the powder, so we can see if I prefer the matte this time over the shine. So starting with the matte, and obviously I need less than I did when I did this yesterday, because yesterday on top of powder I had no blush underneath. It does go beautifully on top of powder, this, it really does. Straight away, I love it. I think that's the key, isn't it? I prefer this on top of powder. It just works beautifully. Works beautifully both ways, but I love the smoothness of how it looks on top of powder. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Love that. So now let's try the shine formula and see if, like yesterday, I don't like it as much as this one. So, pick up much on the brush there, did I? I didn't look at the doe fits really, but they're picking up the product nicely. Let me just see if there's any difference between the two. I don't think there is. No, they're both exactly the same. And they've got that sort of slit in the centre, which is scooping up the product, not picking up too much of it, picking up sort of just the right amount, I'd say. Anyway, let's go in now with this shine formula and also see if it is picking up my powder, because yesterday I was a bit concerned it might have done that. No, I definitely don't think it's doing that today. I do like this shine one. I think yesterday it was because of the shade maybe that I preferred the matte. The pink, I like the way it's giving me that shine. It's almost like a highlight. Can you see that? That really becomes so much more obvious on top of powder than it did just on top of foundation. And it's also not a tacky finish at all, so I don't need to powder again. So this for me is a much better way to wear a liquid blush. If it works like this, I love it. Yeah, I do prefer the shine. Definitely. So I prefer the shine on top of foundation and I prefer the shine on top of powder, both sides. But this was my absolute favourite formula last year and this was my favourite colour. So that means that's my new favourite liquid blush basically. These lids drive me crackers. I always put them on the wrong way. If you're ever wondering how to get these to go on the right way, what you need to do is get the letters facing and get the logo facing before you go in, click down and then turn and it will land in the right place. Whereas if you start like this when you're closing it with the logo on the back and then you tighten up, it will finish there. Just in case that ever bothers you, because it bothers me. Anyway, so which side do you prefer? On top of powder. I love that shine when on top of powder. I have to make a short reel showing that because on the peach one I didn't. So I really want everyone to see both. I say shorts reel because I'll be putting these out as shorts as well. But what do you think? I did say we could add this on the lips. At the moment I'm wearing Vintage Rose from Delilah, so I don't know if these would really work. But I'll just put a little bit on the back of my hand, take some on my finger and just put it over the top. You can't really see it on top of the Vintage Rose and it doesn't feel very hydrating. So I'm not massively convinced that was helpful because my lips already feel like they're going a bit dry. Yeah, I wouldn't do that on the lips personally. I know I'm going to be reaching for a gloss very quickly now and I didn't feel like that just wearing my Delilah Vintage Rose, which is this one. I don't know if I've shown you that on the channel before. This is a new shade from Delilah, Vintage Rose. Beautiful shade. This is a beautiful formula as well. This is like a creamy matte, I think. It's very creamy. Beautiful, beautiful shade. So definitely worth checking that one out and checking out my discount code for Delilah. 22% off with my discount code, which you'll see below linked with the product. So anyway, that is everything I'm showing you today. I am quite thrilled actually with this shine, especially this shade. So I'm going to order the mauve and I will definitely do a short so we can compare this shade here, mauve versus shine. This is my second favourite, so I'm really looking forward to showing you this one, so please do look out for that. And obviously in my end of month review I will give you more updates, but that will be more towards April, because May review, because we are right at the end of April now, so I've only just tried these, so look out for that in my end of month review for May. I can't see me saying that I've got any problem with them though, but I will definitely be letting you know about the mauve if you didn't catch my shorts reel. So anyway, and obviously we looked at this bronzer from Haus Labs, which not quite the perfect tone for me, but pretty perfect as my summer one, better than the Givenchy, less yellow, and this formula is beautiful, so easy to apply. I absolutely love it. I would like it to have a slightly cooler tone, just for us cool tone people. It's so difficult, isn't it? But it's nearly okay. So certainly for summer I'll be using it, and I do really like it. So I do hope you found this helpful, and I would love to hear from you whether you've picked up any of the products I've shown you today, or are they on your wish list, or are they on your not interested list. Whatever your thoughts are, I would love to hear them. And if you've enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button and the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. I would love it ever so much if you were subscribed and you don't miss future videos if you hit my notification bell as well. Anyway, if you are subscribed, thank you so much for being here at the end. I really appreciate you all so very much, and I do hope to see all of you again for my next video. Take care everybody, bye!